Have you ever caught yourself thinking, if I could just do more, then I'd be a better wife or friend, daughter, business owner, or team player? Today, we're going to punch that gremlin in the face. We're going to kick it to the curb, we're going to stomp on it some more, and then we're going to yeet it into the sun. You're getting tough love, snarky Jess today because I absolutely hate, with a capital HATE, when my friends and the people I love have that voice on loop. The simple truth is your worth, your value is not measured or tied to your output. No, no, nay, nay. Your worth, your value stands on its own. And in this episode, I'm here to hold up the mirror to remind you of that. If you're tired of feeling like your value is tied to your productivity, then grab your favorite beverage and a blanket and tuck in. Maybe get some snacks. And let's talk about what really makes you worthy. Welcome to Chronic Illness CEO, where we're ditching the hustle culture and rewriting the rules of entrepreneurship to work for us, not against us. I'm Jessica Brown, a business strategist who knows firsthand what it's like to grow an online business while managing chronic health challenges. If you're done with cookie cutter advice that keeps you trapped in the cycle of push, crash, and flare, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll explore practical growth strategies for creating sustainable success. So grab your cozy blanket, your favorite warm drink, and let's discover what's possible when we stop fighting against our bodies and start building businesses that truly support our lives. Picture this, young Jess, fresh out of college, working at a nonprofit, doing the most to prove her worth. And when I say the most, I mean volunteering for every project, taking on extra work, basically trying to earn super employee despite having untreated chronic digestive issues that had me hiding out in my car during lunch, fighting waves of pain, nausea, and panic. And you know what's wild and also very sad is that young Jess actually stopped eating lunch, well, actually breakfast and lunch for that matter, to avoid symptoms that might force me to leave early. One of the main reasons for this was because I had gotten yelled at by my manager who was telling me, it's not going to fly if you're always sick. You have to suck it up and you have to make it work. And her words literally would follow me throughout the bulk of my professional career. So that's what I did. I sucked it up and I made it work by not eating. Looking back now, I wish I could have taken that young Jess. I wish I could have wrapped her in a hug. I wish I could have shown her another way. And I really wish I could have had some choice words to that manager. But here's what I learned the hard way over multiple decades. I thought I was buying myself value by being that above and beyond team player. But in reality, I was trading my health for acceptance. And let me tell you, that is a terrible deal that no one should have to take. This pattern followed me for like at least 2 decades, 20 years, y'all, throughout my entire professional career and into my business. And it wasn't just work. Oh no. This manager's message then echoed and was amplified by other people saying the same message until it became full out gremlin in my head, preaching on a pulpit over and over and over again, invading every area of my life. Friendships, marriage, how I structured my first business, and even how I taught my first online class. But that story is for another episode. Now, it wasn't until I started my own business that I began to actually see how deeply this more equals worth mindset had shaped everything. In all honesty, I'm fairly certain that this is what contributed to me having the challenge of people pleasing. And you know what? When it finally hit me, that realization of I associating having to give more with being of worth, of being of value, it made me mad. Like, not completely at myself, although yeah, I did beat myself up a bit for a while, but it was at the lie. I got angry at the system that made us believe our worth comes from our output. We're going to look at how your worth isn't measured by your output and that how believing that truth, really believing it, transforms everything from how you run your business to how you plan your day, to how you live your life. And fair warning, if you're like, this is a different tone for you, Jess, it's because this is tough love snarky Jess here, and she's at the helm, and she's so done with this gremlin. Like I said, let's yeet it to the sun. We can't talk about this topic and not mention how deeply woven into the fabric of our society, especially here in the United States. From our earliest days, we are taught, trained, and conditioned that our value is intrinsically tied to what we do. Get good grades, you're a good student. Score the most points, you're a valuable player. Stay late at work, you're a great employee. Drop everything for a friend, you're their bestie. When you're living with chronic illness, this messaging is a whole special kind of torture. Because what happens when you can't do more? What happens when you can barely do what you think is enough? I see you out there having to cancel your plans yet again because your body says not today. Rescheduling the client call because of a flare-up or a really bad case of brain fog. Watching others advance in their careers and take off while you're desperately trying to figure out how to make this work from home thing a reality that actually pays the bills. And in the process, feeling like you're letting everyone down. your family, your friends, your loved ones, and yourself. Remember that young Jess who thought she could earn her worth through extra work? Well, fast forward to last year, supposedly wise middle-aged Jess, who also thought the same, and life decided to teach me an even deeper lesson on worth and productivity. Perimenopause hit me like a freight train. Hot flashes, sweating in places I didn't even know you could sweat. Brain fog, exhaustion, anxiety, insomnia, the works. Then came high blood pressure, new medications, a cascade of side effects that left me with less energy than my old normal with chronic illness. To give you a glimpse into this, there is a trail near my house that's about a football field in length. And there's a slight incline as you go up the hill. And I walk Tucker on this trail all the time. We go up to the top and then we come back down. It's like 2 football fields worth of walking, and it's a great little exercise for my guy. Last spring, I found myself having to stop and rest halfway up the trail, and then at the top of the trail, and then halfway back from the trail, like every quarter. I literally couldn't make it without having those periods of time where I was sitting down. And I was walking really slow. During that period of time, I became lump on the couch Jess. And let me tell you, that identity crisis hit hard. How could I work? How could I contribute? How could I take care of my father if my father needed me? How could I take care of Tucker if he needed me? Was this my new reality? But here's where God showed up in the most unexpected way. As I was wrestling with these questions, feeling purposeless from my couch, a thought dropped into my heart. What if God gave me this challenge for a specific purpose? What if it was my mission in the sloth era to figure out how to contribute meaningfully with minimal energy? Could it be done? And that question became my catalyst for transformation. When my energy was at the lowest, I started a daily practice that I would call lake time with God. It was simple. I get off the couch, I get into my car, I'd drive the 5 to 10 minutes to this local park that had a lake. I'd roll down the window and I would just sit in my car because I didn't have enough energy to get up and walk. Sometimes that's all we can do, and that's okay. And every day I would bring my 365-day devotional and my Bible. I'd spend time there reflecting with God. One particular day, I read this passage about Jesus talking about wildflowers. He says, "Consider how the wildflowers grow. They do not labor or spin, yet not even Solomon in all of his splendor was dressed like one of these." And that made me pause and just think for a moment about the value of a flower. To humans, it might be beautiful to look at and smell nice. To a florist, it might represent income. To bees and birds, it might be a source of food. To a gardener, it offers purpose and relaxation and joy. And to someone driving by, it might be a moment of delight. And you know what's fascinating? That flower isn't doing anything extraordinary. It's not trying to be 3 flowers at once. It's not pushing itself to bloom any faster or produce extra petals or to smell better. It's simply existing as it was created to be. And just like that flower, your mere existence here has value. You, just as you are valuable, not because of what you produce or the work that you do or what you do, but because of who you are. This isn't nice theology or pretty words. This is a fundamental truth that can transform how you show up in business and in life. And here's what I want you to understand about your true value. First, you are a masterpiece. Yes, chronic illness, limiting energy, and all. These aren't flaws in your design. They're part of your unique composition. Secondly, the gifts that you have are distinctly yours. Your ability to notice patterns when others don't, a gift. The way you can explain complex things simply, a gift. The empathy that you have developed through this health journey of yours, an incredible gift. Third, you have passions that light you up, and those passions are not random. They are signposts pointing to your purpose. And fourth, you're needed right here, right now, in this place, in this time, just as you are, not some future version of you with more energy or fewer health challenges. No, you today, as is. The beauty about embracing this truth is it changes everything. When you stop trying to earn your worth through constant doing, you create space to discover how you can serve from a place of being. And that, friend, that is where the magic happens. Going back to my story, here's where it takes an interesting turn. As I came to peace with my new reality, yes, I have officially dubbed this as my sloth era, something unexpected happened. Instead of fighting against my limitations, I started asking myself different questions. What could I do with my limited energy? How could I support my body better? Now, this led to some practical changes. I adjusted medications, started hormone replacement therapy, and went up to the venti size frappuccinos because, listen, not all my choices were perhaps the healthiest, but hey, I'm a work in progress. And here's where it gets good. I chose to go in a completely different direction. Instead of trying to do all the things, I decided to embrace the role of one. One offer, one marketing strategy, 1 year. Do it in a consistent way. So I asked myself, what could I commit to for 1 year? And it was a podcast. That podcast would be my one marketing strategy. Then I asked, what could I offer that would utilize my gifts and fulfill a need in the marketplace while I continue to do market research, need to create a digital product or a digital offer? That's literally how this podcast, the one you're currently listening to, was born. It's also how my Sustainable CEO Strategy Day started. The very thing that felt like it was limiting me, it actually led me to create something more focused, more sustainable, and honestly, more impactful. Now, am I saying I got it all figured out? Absolutely not. I'm still simplifying and streamlining. In fact, I decided to do one more thing, not as a growth strategy, not for the business, but rather to document this journey. Over on my YouTube channel, I'm creating a monthly vlog to showcase my experiments and behind the scenes of the simplification and streamlining process. Now, the main reason why I'm doing this is because I know that it can be hard to visualize how something is possible, especially for us. I want to show you the ins and outs, whether the experiment works or doesn't, and the process that I'm taking to really embrace this new way of seeing myself and my worth. So maybe, just maybe, you can do the same process too to see your worth and how it's not tied to your productivity. Now, I've committed to only doing this like once a month because I don't know how sustainable it's going to be. Will it be more frequent? Will it be less frequent? I don't know. We're going to see. This is part of the experiment. And for the first time in my business, I'm okay with that uncertainty. Now, if you're curious about following this journey, then you definitely want to stick with this podcast and subscribe because we're going to be deep diving into sustainable strategies on this show. And then you can hop on over to the YouTube channel where you'll actually see me in real time implement these strategies. The link to that channel can be found in the show notes. Okay, friends, this episode, we're doing something a little different. I'm going to give you 2 tools to start breaking free from the lie that your worth is tied to your productivity. Our first tool is our gremlin response plan. You know that nasty gremlin, the one that speaks in our head, the one we want to beat up, stomp on, smush, and yeet into the sun? We know those thoughts are going to come. The gremlin is incredibly sneaky and unfortunately very resilient. So let's be ready for it. I want you to create your Not Today gremlin cards. Here's how. You're going to get a few sticky notes or index cards, whatever you want. On one side, you're going to write the lies the gremlin whispers. You know, the ones like, you're not good enough, or you're not doing enough today. Everyone else is more productive. What value can you bring if you can't even ... Then on the flip side of each individual card or sticky note, you're going to write your comeback. Feel free to make it as snarky as you want. This is your truth statement. For example, when the gremlin says you're not doing enough, your truth on the flip side says, I'm valuable exactly as I am, doing exactly what I can today. When it whispers everyone else is more productive, your truth is, my journey isn't meant to look like everyone else's. This is exactly where I need to be. When it taunts you to say, what value do you bring? Your truth is, I'm a masterpiece, you biatch. Or if you don't want to be that snarky as I am, you can say something like, my worth is inherent. It's not earned through productivity. Now put these cards somewhere where you're going to see them. You could keep them by your desk, in a mirror, by your nightstand, or in your pocketbook. The thing is, when that gremlin's voice starts to speak up, you have your truth and then you can speak it aloud. All right, part 2. This next part you can decide if you want to do for a day, a week, a month, a year, whatever. It's something that you can easily incorporate into your planner if there's like a gratitude section, or it can just be a separate notebook. But what I want you to do is I want you to notice your natural value. This week, I want you to acknowledge all the times that you are just you and the value it naturally brings. Maybe it's offering a different perspective during a conversation. Maybe it's making someone smile. Maybe it's showing an act of kindness. Maybe it is showing up authentically in a social media post or having dinner with your family and just being present. Whatever it looks like, jot it down. Now, don't edit yourself. Don't dismiss it as being too small. Remember our flower earlier? It's valuable just by existing. The same goes for you. The goal here is not to build a productivity log. It's just to start noticing how much value you bring naturally without pushing or striving. Because that gremlin, he has been lying to you and me far too long. And it's time for us to start telling ourselves the truth and believing it. And if you catch yourself slipping back into the old thought patterns, that's okay. It's going to happen. Change takes time. Just gently remind yourself, thanks for sharing, gremlin, but I know my truth. And my truth is, I am valuable. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you're loving this episode and want to help more entrepreneurs with chronic illness discover that they don't have to sacrifice their health to build a successful business, and it would also be a huge help for this new show, I've got 3 quick ways you can help. First, hit that subscribe button. It makes sure that you don't miss any upcoming episodes and lets this platform know that our content is worth sharing. Second, if you're feeling extra generous, leave us a 5-star rating and review. Those ratings and reviews aren't just nice to read, although they totally make my day. They actually help push this podcast up in the algorithm so other entrepreneurs with chronic illness can find our cozy little community. And finally, if you know another business owner who's tired of the push, crash, flare cycle, share this episode with them because, friend, everyone deserves to know that there's a better way to build a business that truly supports their life. Until the next time, I'm wishing you a gentle day.